I'm gonna teach you how to properly do a 360 on a surf style.
Green light, let's get it. I'm the future, I'm in it. Check score, I'm winning. Green light, let's get it.
Do your 360s look like this? Or this? Or maybe even this? All right, odds are if you're watching this video, you're probably having one of those issues. Think about wake surfing, it's really easy to learn. People learn really fast and you're finally ready to just do a 360. That's the first trick people wanna learn. But you wanna make sure that you have the fundamentals of wake surfing down pat. You wanna be able to make sure you can go up and down the wave with full confidence. And another key thing that people don't think about is being able to pivot on the back of the board. Stalling, but then getting back into the wave, stalling, and having full control front to back on that board. Almost every trick you do is gonna be all about weight distribution, and that's especially important for the 360. Another key fundamental too, before we get right into the 360, is a nice solid centered stance. So I see a lot of people bent and hinged at the waist down here. That's gonna be a recipe for disaster. It's gonna bring weight over your toes, and then you're gonna be flailing all over the place. You might dig your outside rail. You might not even make it all the way around before you're just tilting over your toes and falling off. I always tell people if somebody was about to come tackle you, the first thing you do is be really centered and solid. So that's kind of the stance you want, is to be on your board, nice and solid. You can bend over the toes a little bit, but you wanna make sure that your heels are planted, weight is evenly distributed so that you're very planted on the board. So let's get right into how to do the 360. And all we're doing is a really sharp U-turn up the wave. As we're turning up the wave, you're kind of giving a little bit of that lift. That's gonna help you get break those fins loose once you get to the top of the wave. So if you can kind of get a little pivot, right when you get to the top of the wave, distribute the weight to the front foot. And if you're at the top of the wave, that should lift the tail of the board out a little bit so that board will slide around. And I think about just letting my toes kind of bring the tail around. So I'm distributing the weight to the front while I'm kind of kicking the tail around this way to get the brake loose. But if you have too much weight on the tail, odds are you're not gonna break those fins loose. You might get stuck right here and dig the tail in to the wave. So make sure that as soon as you kick that board up to the top, that quick little snappy turn, get a little bit of weight distribution to the front so that board lifts out like this, and you can even kick the tail out while you kick the front out. One thing you can do to kind of help your setup process for the 360 is put your hand in the wave, just so it keeps your shoulders in line with the boat. For this, you always want to keep your lead shoulder where you're going, but be careful by putting your hand in wave. You don't want that to tilt you over your toes. You still want to be nice and centered, and ideally you come in for the bottom turn, and as you're going up, you want to make sure that leading with your shoulder. Really think about your shoulder being the leading part of the 360. All right, so you've gotten the 180, you've broken the fins loose at the top of the wave. You want to complete the 360. This is the scariest part of the 360 because you're about to come down the face of the wave at screaming speed. You don't want to over rotate. You don't want to dig your outside rail. All kinds of things can go wrong. The over rotation, one thing to stop that, right as you're making that transition back down the face of the wave with all its speed, get back on your tail to stop the rotation, but be ready to get back on the front so the wave doesn't pass you by. It's all about weight distribution, and it's kind of getting in tune with that rhythm of what you need to do. One thing to keep in mind too is your wave setting on your boat. If you're nose diving and you're digging that outside rail, you might be doing your 360 a little too close to the boat, and that's gonna be the steepest part and the most aggressive transition of that wave. So maybe try to back it up a little bit. If the wave's passing you by after you're already completing your 360 and you can't seem to stay in, you might be starting the 360 too far back in the wave, or you're just not doing the 360 with enough forward momentum. So keep in mind that boat is always moving forward, and if you're not doing a 360 with initial starting momentum forward, then you're not gonna be able to keep up with that wave continuously moving away from you. So you're always having to keep up with the boat. So pretty much any trick you do, you wanna start with a little bit of forward momentum. However, you wanna make sure you initiate that trick before you get too close to the boat, because if you come back around and you're really close to the boat, that's gonna be a very aggressive, steep part of the wave. It's gonna make it really hard to land tricks. Some boats have steeper transitions than others. That's why I love the Mastercrafts, because it's such a forgiving, soft wave. It makes tricks really easy to learn, and even advanced tricks like 540 big spins and some of the stuff I'm doing on my skimboard, it makes it effortless to learn to land those tricks. So in summary, quick checklist to get you ready to land your 360. Make sure that you start with a little forward momentum, lead with that shoulder, and make sure you distribute the weight on the board according to where you are in completing that 360, and then you'll be on your way teaching your buddies how to 360. So stay tuned for the next videos. We're teaching you how to do a 360 on a skimboard next. We got more how-to videos on their way so that you can be impressing all your friends this summer on the boat. And if you guys want to learn something in particular, drop a comment below. Let us know what how-to video we should do next. My name's Austin Keene. I'm a 2-time world champion skimboarder and professional wake surfer. And this is How to Wake Surf with Austin Keene, 2-time world champion skimboarder and professional wake surfer with Austin Keene.
How to.
How to.